Hey guys, CryptoDad here again, and today I'm going to show you how to set up the Ledger Nano X. I'm going to go through the initial unboxing and initial setup, and then show you how to add cryptocurrency apps and accounts. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to the video. A couple of disclaimers and some housekeeping up front. I know it's a long video, so if you're new to the Ledger Nano S and cryptocurrency, I would encourage you to watch the entire video from beginning to end. It's a step-by-step instructional video. But for those of you who want to skip ahead to parts that are more meaningful, I've provided an index below in the description with timestamps. So it allows you to just click on the timestamp and skip to the part of the video that you're most interested in. Another thing I want to point out is that because this is a demo video, demonstration video, I decided not to blur out the recovery phrase. I'm just going to show you how I did that. And then when I'm done, I'm going to reinitialize my ledger. So it's an empty wallet, so don't freak out when you see my recovery phrase. I'm doing it so that you can see exactly what's going on, and it's a little difficult to try and blur out all of those words as I'm working because I move things around while I'm doing it. So that's out of the way. Another thing I want to also point out is that I've sped up the time in certain parts of the video, so you might notice that when I'm installing apps that it appears to happen very quickly on my device, and you might not see that on your device. It might take longer. So just remember that there are obvious points in the video where I've sped it up, but there are also points where I'm doing installs where they appear to happen very quickly, but they weren't quite as fast as they were on the video. So anyway, enough of that out of the way. Please enjoy the video. Watch it from beginning to end. I recommend. But skip ahead to the parts that are important to you if you've been here before. So enjoy. Okay, so I just received my Ledger Nano X. The release date was delayed, so they included a Ledger Nano S in my delivery. So that's pretty cool. And as you can see, I've got the limited edition Genesis block version because I was one of the first people to order it. Alright, so here's our Ledger Nano S. We'll use that later. Alright. Let's take this off here. Alright, so here's our limited edition card. You're one of the first to order a Ledger Nano X. A little history of Bitcoin itself. The Genesis block was created on January 3rd, 2009. This was the first Bitcoin block on the blockchain. So in appreciation of that date, they've christened this the Genesis Block Edition, January of 2019. All right, and here's our Ledger Nano X. It's a little heavier than the Ledger Nano S. All right. This off here. I don't know if this is a button. It feels like a button, this metal button here, and then the one on this side. So it's pretty nice. We've got the Genesis block on the metal here, which is pretty cool. And then we've got the port here. Now this looks like a USB-C port as opposed to the micro USB connector on the older Ledger Nano S. So we're going to have a different cable, I'm assuming. So let's see what's here. We'll take this part off. They have pretty nice packaging here. So pretty inviting and easy to open. Pretty nice. So we can see here the cable. This is a USB-C cable. And then just the regular USB 3 or 2 connector for your computer. All right. A little bit short by my standards. Luckily for me, I already have a longer USB-C cable, but let's take a look at this. It looks like it's only about 3 feet long. So not a very long cable, only about a 3-foot long cable. But this unit was designed to be portable and Bluetooth, so we're not going to really need the cable much except for charging, I'm assuming. So, you know, most of you who have a USB hub or, you know, a front USB port on their computer for charging shouldn't be very inconvenient. But like I said, I'll probably use my longer one that I have. All right, and so that's it for the box. So we've got this welcome pack here. All right, and this is empty now. So here's our recovery sheet where we're going to write down our 24-word recovery phrase. This is very important. This unit is going to randomly generate a 256-bit master key, and then it will also display for us a 24-word recovery phrase, which is the human-readable representation of that master key. So when we initialize the device, we have to make sure to write that down here and confirm it. And then looks like we get more than one recovery sheet. Let's see. So we get 3. All right. So we can store up to 3 recovery phrases on these cards. Now, you can also write one down on a piece of paper. So the amount of recovery phrases that you can generate from this ledger are, you know, effectively infinite if you need more. But it's a little inconvenient to do restores, so maybe 3 is probably a manageable number. So you can create a configuration, store some coins, reinitialize, and then create a new 24-word recovery phrase, store some additional coins perhaps, and then you can reinitialize the device and create a brand new recovery phrase, store some coins on that. And then those 3 configurations can sort of be restored and configured at will so that you can have different configurations. You might want to create one and store a bulk amount of your long-term storage on that, and then wipe it off the ledger, and the only thing that references it is a recovery phrase, and we would keep that recovery phrase, you know, hidden well. And then if anybody gains access to your ledger device, you can always show them that you don't have that many coins on your working configuration. So there's lots of different possibilities and configurations. So we'll put this aside. I'll just hold on to one of them for now. All right, and then some use, care, and regulatory statements here. Pretty standard. All right, we can just put this aside. And then we've got some cool stickers. Some white and black stickers. Very nice. Put that on the side. We've got our Getting Started booklet. And it's pretty straightforward, right? We've got Ledger Nano X securely stores the private keys and provides access to your crypto assets. Couldn't be any simpler than that. We'll rotate the swivel cover, press the button next to the USB port for 3 seconds to turn on the Ledger Nano X. And to set up and use the Ledger Nano X, download Ledger Live and get started. All right, so it couldn't be simpler than that. So, and I'm assuming you might want to charge this up before you start, maybe a little bit. They don't really go into that, but they say that you should be able to hold this in for 3 seconds to initialize the device. I'm going to hold this one in. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this works. Low battery. It starts off with low battery. So I'm going to go ahead and charge it up for a little while before I go through the setup to make sure that it doesn't stop in the middle. All right, so I let it charge up a little bit so that I can start to initialize it. As you can see here, this is the welcome screen. and you see that little arrow there on the side indicates that they want you to press this right button. So I'll press the button, and then it gives us some information here about Ledger Live, which I've already downloaded on my computer and on my phone. All right, and then there's some instructions here on the navigation. Press both buttons to validate a selection. Very similar to the Ledger Nano S. And hold both buttons anytime to access the control center and to power off and more. And then we've got set up as new device. So I'm going to go ahead and start that by hitting both buttons here. And the first thing they'll ask us to do is choose a pin. So I'm going to hit both buttons to do that. All right, and then we can use the buttons up and down to set our pin code. And then when we're satisfied with the number, we can go up and down. When we're satisfied with the number, we'll hit both buttons to lock in our choice. All right. And then after we've chosen 4, we're going to get that check mark, which means that we've chosen a sufficiently long pin. But you're encouraged to go ahead and use the full 8-digit pin. So I'm going to do that. I can just continue hitting the up and down buttons to add a new number here. All right, and then it's going to ask us to confirm that by entering the same pin once again. All right, and now it wants us to write down the recovery phrase. So what's happened here is the device has initialized. It's generated that random master private key, and now it's going to give us the recovery phrase if we ever need to reset the device, or if we ever need to recover the device if we were to lose access to this device. So I'm going to hit both buttons there, and it gives us a little bit of instructions on how this works. We don't want anyone else to see these 24 words. Anyone can use those 24 words to gain access to your wallet, even if they're on the other side of the world, so we don't want to reveal this to anyone. All right, so I'll start with writing the first word down, and then when I'm done, I'll just go to the key, the next word there. So I can just move to the next word each time. All right, and then when you've written down that last word, you can hit the advance button, and then we can go back with the left button to double check all our words. Right? We can just go through the list there and make sure that we've got them all down. So just make sure that each word that you see that has a number above it, make sure it's written in that same number slot on the recovery card. All right? We don't want to get the order transposed, maybe skip a word. Just make sure that you've got 24 words and they're all written on the right slot on the card. All right, and then when you're done, we can hit both buttons. And then they want us to confirm that phrase. So we'll continue with that. We'll hit both buttons. And then, so they want me to confirm the first word. So the word that's showing at the moment is not the first word. So I'll just advance until I find the word. All right, and then when I find that number 1 word, I just hit both buttons. All right, it wants number 2, so I'll just go back through that. It doesn't look like they're in alphabetical order, so just keep scrolling till you run across the correct word for the number. All right, so I'm looking at number 4 here. Just scroll through till I find that word. I hit both buttons. Okay, so when you get to that last word and you press both buttons, it's going to do a quick configure, and then it'll tell you the device is ready. Oh, I'll just advance using this. All right, and then it wants me to access the dashboard, and I can hit both buttons to do that. All right, it wants me to install the app. Okay, so there's different functionality here. I can scroll through and hit Control Center or Install App. So I can use the Manager and Ledger Live to install apps and more. I can hold both buttons to get to Control Center. And then you can see it tells me how much battery is left. The lock screen settings, I can decide how much time, or I can go straight to lock screen, right? And then I'll have to enter the PIN to access the device. I can enable or disable Bluetooth. And then I can go into the settings, or I can power off, right? So in settings is where we've got different security sets. So we've got general and security. In general, we can change the name of the device, set battery saver settings, check the firmware, serial number, regulatory info. In security, we can change the PIN, passphrase, the auto lock settings, which determine how long it will stay active before it goes to auto lock, reset pairings, reset all, and back. And then I can go back to the control center, and I'm ready to install my first cryptocurrency app. Okay, so if you haven't downloaded the Ledger Live app yet, you can head over to the App Store. And just search for Ledger Live. All right, and there it is. As you can see, I've already got it open. Okay, so we're back at the Install App screen. So let's go over to the Ledger Live app and hit the Nano X. All right, and so I can just hit this. I'll tap the Start Nano X onboarding. All right, so I'll initialize this Ledger X as a new device. I've already installed the PIN code. Okay, I did choose my own PIN code, and I did choose 8. I'll just go on with that. I already did all this. All right. Yes, I chose the PIN code myself. Yes, I wrote down the recovery phrase. I'll hit continue there. And I'm going to add the new Ledger Nano X, right? So I'll hit the button there, the blue button. All right, and I believe that's it. All right, and so we've got a pairing request. And I just look on the device and make sure that my pin matches the pin there. And then I'm going to hit pair. Okay, and now we got to validate by hitting both buttons now. All right, now it's doing its genuine check. It's and then I'm going to hit the plus by hitting both buttons, I guess. Or I just hit the right button. Ah, okay. So I can choose between deny or allow. And once I've chosen that by navigating, I'll hit both buttons. And there it goes. Now it's going to check again. Now we've got successful pairing. And I can rename this. I'm not that crazy about that name. So it looks like I can rename it from the phone. So I'm going to do that. We'll just call this, yeah, I'll just call it the Ledger Nano X. I only have one right now, so I won't get fancy with the name. You can always go back and change it later. Okay, and now it's asking me to confirm that on the device, or, oh, okay, so I can allow or deny. So I'm going to allow that. Try to get the camera out of there, and me. All right, and there we go. Now I've renamed it, and I'll hit continue. And there we go. I'm only gonna add this one at the moment, so I'll just tap this. And now I can open Ledger Live. right, it's doing a synchronization here. So now that I've synchronized and everything, I'll go over here to Manager. Oh, okay, so there I'm selecting the device. It's loading all of the possible apps that I can load on this Ledger Nano X. And there we go. So let's add Bitcoin first. Let's tap that download icon on the phone. All right, you can see it's processing on the device. And there we go. I've got Bitcoin on there. So I'm going to go to Accounts. And I'm just going to go up to the top of the phone on the right and hit plus. And I'm going to choose Add Accounts. And I'm going to choose Bitcoin. And I'm going to add it to the Ledger Nano X. All right, so I'll just tap that. And then it's going to make a connection. I need to open the Bitcoin app on the device. You can see here there's different things. I've got the Bitcoin down at the bottom there, so I'm going to hit both buttons. And it says that it's ready. So we'll just let it synchronize. It's basically going to search for the public and private keys that were installed when I installed the app. And it's going to create a corresponding account in Ledger Live so that I can manage the balance. And as you can see, it's a balance of 0 right now. I don't know if that means it's still processing or if it's ready. So I'm going to take a chance and just hit that BTC equals 0 here and just confirm that I want that account added. Okay, I don't see that I'm tapping on the name of the account. I don't see that it's editable at this point. But I went ahead and tapped the check mark. I'm going to hit continue. And it said that the account has been successfully added. I'll hit go to accounts. And there we can see the account there at the bottom. Now I'm just going to tap it here and see if perhaps I can receive crypto. And then you notice there's a wrench up there on the top. I'm going to tap that. And now I can go to account name. And I'm going to name it something a little more meaningful. So that I can differentiate it from my other accounts, right? So as you can see, I already had some accounts that hold Bitcoin that are associated with my older ledgers, my Ledger Nano S. So I'm just going to differentiate this account by indicating that it is a Ledger Nano X account. And this is all mnemonic. This is just for me to keep the account straight in my head. And I'll hit apply there. And there we go. All right. Now I can finish that and just hit X. And we can go back. And you can see there that now the name of the account is Ledger Nano X Bitcoin. And it's empty. I don't have any Bitcoin in there at the moment. So that's all fine. All right. Now I'm going to go and add some more apps. So I'll hit plus. Actually, I'll go ahead and exit the Bitcoin app here. I'll just navigate over to the quit, hit both buttons. And now I'm back at the main screen. Let's go back to Manager down there at the bottom. All right, and this time I'll install the Ethereum app. Okay, and there we go. Now we've got the Ethereum app installed. Now we need to add a corresponding account on the Ledger Live app so that we can manage our balance. So I'm going to hit Go to Accounts. And I'm going to tap the plus in the top there. And I'm going to choose Add Accounts. And I'm going to add an Ethereum account onto the Ledger. All right, it's going to connect. It wants me to open the Ethereum app. So I'm going to navigate back and forth till I'm on top of Ethereum, and I'll hit both buttons. All right, and that means that I'm in the application, and so now it can start the installation of the account. See there, it's scanning the address for any existing wallets which it might do if you were in recovery mode. This is an empty wallet, so it should only find one empty one and offer it to me. Okay, and there we go. That's the account. I'm just going to tap that little circle over there to the right. Right, and then I'll hit continue. And the account is now added. So, and once again, I'm going to go over to that first account, or that just added account down there. I'm going to tap it, and then I'll go to the wrench icon up there at the top, in the top right, and I'm going to tap account name, and I'm going to rename this guy Ledger Nano X. It's a little bit long. You might want to just put X or Ledger X, whatever works best for you. I'm just going to use Ledger Nano X Ethereum, and that indicates to me that that's the Ethereum account on the Ledger Nano X. All right, and then I'm just going to go to the manager and keep adding apps. I'll hit this XRP. All right, I need to navigate back to the dashboard on the device. I'll hit quit. All right, and there I am. I'm just going to reattempt that. Let it install. Whoops. Okay. Didn't like that one very well. Let's try again. Okay. You remember that sometimes you'll get a glitch, so don't panic if you see a little glitch. Just try again. I get a lot of people asking me questions about this happened, that happened, what should I do? And they're sitting there holding the ledger. They're afraid to disconnect it. They're afraid to turn it off. They're just so full of fear. It's an electronic device, just like a phone or a computer, and it does glitch occasionally. That's just part of technology. So there was nothing in the wallet yet, so there's nothing to panic about. So all I did was just start again, try again. And if that doesn't work, disconnect and reconnect and try again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and set up the XRP account. I'll hit the plus, add accounts, hit XRP on the Ledger Nano X. And it wants me to open the XRP app. So I'm just going to navigate over there and hit open, or hit both buttons. Okay, the XRP application is ready. So it should start setting up the account interface for us. And it should just find an empty one, right? I'm just going to hit that little circle and hit continue. All right. And there we go. Now I can go back to accounts. And like I said, I'm just going to rename it so that I can keep it straight in my head. Call it Ledger Nano X. Ledger Nano X XRP. All right, and there we go. Now I'm going to have quite a few accounts on this eventually, right? But that's okay. So I'll go ahead and exit out of the XRP app. And now I'm ready to start installing more apps. And I'm going to install as many as I can so we can see how many apps and accounts this device will hold. All right, so let's go back to Manager. Let's add some more apps. I'll go ahead and add Litecoin. All right, that's good. I'm just going to close it. I'm just going to start adding apps. Oops, actually I don't want to do that. Let's just start adding accounts one by one. I'm just going to see how many apps I can get on the device. Let's try that. Okay, now interestingly enough, on regular Ledger Live there are no Stellar accounts. So let me go to accounts and tap plus and add accounts and see if there is a Stellar on here. There's not. So this is a common question with a lot of people. There are certain cryptocurrencies that are supported on the ledger, but they do not have a corresponding Ledger Live application, which basically just means that it is the Ledger Nano S can store the private key of the cryptocurrency, but it does not have an interface for managing the balance. So you need to use third-party apps. So I'd kind of be curious as to how that's going to work with Stellar. My guess is that you're going to need to use the USB cable to connect to the computer when you're dealing with managing your Stellar. Doesn't look like there's any Bluetooth support for Stellar. So, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep installing apps. Here, I'll go ahead and put Tron on there. All right, and then you'll also notice Tron is another one of those that has no account support. There is no Tron account support on in Ledger Live. So Tron is another one that we're going to need to use a third-party type wallet in order. So let's see, I'll add a few more. I just want to keep going. Oh, now I must have left the pin talked too long. I talked a little bit too long. And looked like it was actually installing even, well, maybe not. No, it was waiting for me to wake up the device before it actually started the install. All right. IOTA is another one of those that needs a third-party wallet. And my advice to you is maybe in between these installations, if you're installing them one after another, you might want to just press the buttons a few times on the device just so that it knows you're still out there, so it doesn't fall asleep while you're installing apps. All right. VE Chain, I don't believe there's a corresponding VE Chain account either. So as you can see, there's only a limited number of cryptocurrencies that are supported in the account interface. So a lot of these cryptocurrencies need to be accessed with a third-party wallet. But you're still able to hold the private keys on here in a very safe and secure way. But I'm just going to keep going here. And like I said, I'm just going to hit the buttons a few times just so the... Alright, that was easy. I think Digibyte is supported. So let's check that one out. Yeah, see, Digibyte is supported. And it wants me to navigate over to that. Pretty cool. You can see I have quite a few apps on here now. All right, and so I'm just going to tap that circle up there on the right and hit continue. Go back to accounts, go back to manager, and keep installing here. Okay, so I need to exit the app that I was using there. I'll hit quit. I have to be at this dashboard to install new apps on the device. Oops. And then I get that little weirdo message. I'm going to try again. Not going to let weirdo messages make me afraid. We'll just let that continue there. All right, and there's my old friend Cardano. I'm going to go ahead and install that. All right, so we got the Cardano installed. All right, so and it as you can see, I installed quite a few apps on there with no problem, and it looks like it'll hold even more. So we're in good shape, and I've got all the apps that I want installed on here, but you could continue to go on. And so it looks like it holds quite a few apps. So that's it for the setup. Please join me for the next video where we load up some crypto on this. Don't forget I have a live stream every Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please join me for the live Q&A in LA. Throw out any questions that you may have, and I'll do my best to get them answered on the fly. Hope to see you there. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me and hope to see you again soon.